Hello friends, my name is Annie Mock. I am a cartoonist, a games developer, and a musician, and obviously a YouTuber, and I am here to tell you about Mega Man Legacy Collection for the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo 3DS. The Switch version just having been released of Mega Man Legacy Collection 1, containing Mega Man 1 through 6 for the NES, and Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, which I will get to why I am not including Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 in the review. But the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 includes Mega Man 7 through 10 for the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation and I believe PS3 consoles. Now, the Mega Man games are classically very beautiful, full of heart, full of inventiveness, and a bananas amount of challenge. Now, I've been playing Mega Man X on the SNES Classic, and just have fallen in love with it. I originally got the Mega Man Legacy Collection, the first one for the 3DS, when it came out a couple years ago, and just picked up the digital version of the Switch edition of Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 for just $15 in the digital store. So you save a little bit of money getting this digitally as opposed to physically, because the physical edition is $40 for Legacy Collection 1 on the cartridge and Legacy Collection 2 digital only, even if you buy the cartridge. So watch out if you are a pure physical media kind of person, because you're not going to get both on the physical. Capcom is kind of cheaping out on this. Perhaps they are more interested, as unfortunately seems to be the case, in making phone content and pachinko machines. But all is not lost. Mega Man 11 is coming to next-gen consoles, current-gen consoles, in October 2nd for the US and October 4th for Japan. Now, these are Keiji Inafune's classic titles. Here we have Mega Man 1, Running with the Border. There are these beautiful cartoony borders, which I'll get to. The 3DS version, unfortunately, there is a key bug, which I've seen other YouTubers point out, where in some levels, or in one level in particular, there is a bug that does not let you finish the level unless you play the Rockman version, the Japanese version. Now, that is a real shame, and there are other small drawbacks to the 3DS version that I would mention, most of all being the screen size. Of course, the screen size of the Switch is very beautiful. The Switch version, however, fixes this bug, so no worries. You can play the US versions all the way through, as I prefer. The Japanese versions are perhaps a little harder, as difficult version, as the Game Grumps pointed out, are the same as the regular Japanese version, on normal setting of difficulty. Now, the reason I did not get Legacy Collection 2 and decided to save a little money on it is because I played 7 on an emulator, the Super Nintendo game, recently, and I felt disappointed with it. As a lot of people have pointed out, Mega Man 7 for SNES is a little slower. The sprite art is quite beautiful, the bigger, kind of chunkier, cartoony sprite art, but the game overall disappointed me. 8 is supposed to be a big down point for the series. 9 and 10 are supposed to be the most difficult of the series, and me being a lazy, casual fake girl gamer, fake geek girl, I didn't bother. So, and Mega Man 1 through 6, the music by, Manami Matsume, I hope I'm getting that right, composer on Mega Man 1, the, unfortunate Keiji Inafune project Mighty Number 9, and the recent, very Mega Man-inspired retro revival Shovel Knight is, her work is just beautiful, and she has a solo album coming out, so I really recommend that. Now, with this version, you are getting the games which are 1 through 6 for the NES. and they are the US and Japanese Famicom Rockman versions, as Keiji Inafune was a big music fan and called Mega Man Rockman, as in rock and roll. His sister's name, Mega Man's sister's name, of course, is Roll. Now, as for the games themselves, they are punishingly difficult, particularly one, as Gerard Khalil, the completionist, pointed out in his recent New Game Plus episode of Mega Man 1 through 3. And there are several special features. There are databases. Now, I'm going to show you the special features here. Return to game. Excuse me, quit. Now, as you can see, once you boot up the game, you get to select between all of the different games, 1 through 6, and once you select it, you can go into Database, Museum, or Controls Options. Now, the database is translated from the Japanese. This is the first time that we're ever getting this translated, and it is a database, as it says, of Mega Man and the Robot Masters, Dr. Wily, all the enemies. Kind of a real little treat. Not essential, but something that the team at Digital Eclipse really put together something special for this package, especially at the price of $15, which is, you know, just a few bucks a game. If even that. And next, we have the museum. And we have antiques, we have production art, we have character files, concept art, which is perhaps my absolute favorite, because it is an pencil and ink sketches, and you can zoom in on anything and see the incredible detail on these beautiful pencil and ink sketches of the worlds of Mega Man and Dr. Wily and all the traps that Wily's made for him. I was going to buy the upcoming Mega Man and Mega Man X art books, but the beautiful thing about this collection is that this absolutely replaces a need for it. You can look at the images to your heart's content. Unfortunately, there are a few little nips that could have, you know, gotten a little better. Now, one very fun aspect is there is a music player for all the music in the Mega Man series, but unfortunately, what it does not do is it does not allow you to hit play all. So you have to select each track individually, which is a real bummer for someone who wanted to listen to all this beautiful music and just let it play and just enjoy it as you would with an album. But, oh well. Anyway, and the last function, besides the amiibo, which you can get a new or the old Mega Man amiibo and plug it in to unlock some challenges, but I believe that none of these challenges are gated. These challenges are a lot of fun. They are a little bit like the NES Remix kind of gameplay that you might expect, a new time-based twist on these retro games where you have to make it to the end goal in a certain amount of time. They're not especially difficult, but I've only started on some of them. There are TV and monitor filters. Now, I will show you what the TV filter looks like. It is very strange. It adds scan lines, and it also adds ghosting, which I did not expect. There is also the monitor setting, which is even heavier on the scan lines, and just kind of adds a bit of an effect that... Focus. Thank you. Just kind of adds a bit of an effect that you don't really need, especially for such beautiful pixel art. And very last, there is the rewind function, which is a literal lifesaver, especially on those horrible fucking disappearing blocks that go brrr, brrr, and some of the other stage hazards, which, even with the rewind function, which many hardcore gamers would say is cheating and unnecessary, even with the rewind function, I struggled very hard with some stage hazards. I mean, these games are, I would say, harder than any dick I've ever had in my mouth or in my hands. It's a very hard game. And lastly, there's a original CPU speed, which I don't know why you would want to use, I guess, except for authenticity's sake. But there is a turbo CPU speed, which is the standard, which reduces the slowdown that was present in the original NES games. Finally, I'd like to say that Mega Man, of course, is based heavily on Astro Boy, the wonderful manga and anime creation by Osamu Tezuka, who's known as the godfather of manga. And like Astro Boy, Mega Man is just kind of a very pure-hearted individual. He really just wants to help people out. And I'm so excited for Mega Man 11 because the story looks like a lot of fun. You got Dr. Light, you got Wily, you got Mega Man's friends, perhaps Proto Man will be back, who knows, with that beautiful new kind of cel-shaded 2D art style, and the new gear system, which sounds excellent. So, thank you so much for joining me with this review of Mega Man Legacy Collection on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo 3DS. This has been one of my video essays. My name is Andy Mock, and I hope you have share some video game and some fun with some friends tonight. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. Yes, fucking forgot. Real quick, play this game on the Nintendo Pro Controller, or a controller similar to the Super NES or NES controller, because I played this game in portable mode, and in portable mode with no dedicated D-pad unless you have one of those little D-pad changer guys for the Nintendo Switch for the Joy-Cons. It is a real tough bout to control, especially with how much you need to mash the buttons. The bigger, chunkier buttons of the Pro Controller and the D-pad, even though I wish the D-pad was up here where the stick is, really makes a big difference. So I recommend playing at home. If you are playing on the go, I would even bring a Pro Controller with you, which sounds ridiculous, but if you can stand up your Switch and bring a Pro Controller with you, that's what I'd do, because that's what I'm going to do next time I'm traveling on a plane or something. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a PS. Good night.